Here's a short video on solving equations. It's important to remember this is a recap topic. We studied this in Year 9, so you will have notes on it in your blue book. But here's just a few examples to help you remember what you need to do. Now here's an equation, 5 brackets 2x minus 7 equals 7x minus 2. Okay, and just like with any equation you're asked to solve, what you need to do is get the x on its own, make it x equals, or whatever that letter might be. A lot of you like to draw a line down the equals to show yourselves two different sides of the equation, the left-hand side and the right-hand side. Okay, loads of different equations, loads of different things you can do. Most of you are already pretty hot on this. It's a recap topic, okay? On this one, most of you know that the first thing you want to do is expand the bracket. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 5 lots of 2x is 10x. And 5 lots of minus 7 is minus 35. I didn't want those brackets in there. I've got rid of them. Next problem, well, my next main problem is that I've got an x term on the left-hand side and an x term on the right-hand side. If I'm going to make it x equals, I don't want terms on both sides. So I need to take something off both sides so that they don't both have an x on anymore. Now I could get rid of the 10x, but that would leave me with a negative x on this side. So instead I'm going to minus off the 7x from both sides, because if I take away 7x from the right hand side, I no longer have an x term on this side. I've just got 2. Have to take away 7x from the right hand side as well, so I'm now just going to have 3x minus 35. Getting closer now, looking more like what I want it to look like. So I need to get that x on its own, so now I need to deal with that minus 35. If I want rid of a minus 35, I need to add 35. That plus 35 cancels out the minus 35 and leaves me with just 3x, but I have to be fair, I have to add 35 to this side as well, so it's going to be 37. And then lastly, I need to get rid of this 3, so I'm going to divide both sides by 3, because dividing by 3 cancels out the 3 there, the 3x, and gives me just x, which is what I wanted. Now I know that 3 doesn't go into 37 exactly, because I know it goes into 30, but not into 7, so that's fine. I've got my Casio scientific calculator. If I want it as a decimal, but really I can just write that it's 37 over 3. And that's my final solution. Here's another equation, slightly different problem, no brackets this time. When I look at this equation, and maybe you might want to pause the video now and try and decide for yourself, or skip ahead and do it yourself. But the main problem with this equation is I've got this fraction here that I don't really want. And really the part of the fraction that's a problem that I can get rid of is this 4 here. This whole thing here, this whole 3x minus 5 is being divided by 4. I don't want it to be divided by 4, so I'm going to multiply by 4. Because if I multiply by 4, that's going to cancel out my 4 on the bottom here and leave me with just 3x minus 5. Now I have to also multiply this side by 4. And I have to multiply this whole thing by 4. There's a couple of different ways I can do that. One way you might like to do that is just to say 4 lots of 2x plus 1. I'm multiplying this whole thing through by 4. What probably more of you would prefer is just to multiply the individual bits by 4. So instead of 2x, I'm going to have 8x, and instead of 1, I'm going to have 4. So I've multiplied this whole thing through by 4 to give me this. Okay, some of you prefer to write that. In the end, you just end up expanding the bracket, which would give you the same thing. So it doesn't matter either way. Now I've got an equation a bit like what I had before. I've got x's on both sides. I could take the 8x off, but that would give me negatives here. I'm going to get rid of the smaller one. So I'm going to take off 3x. Bear in mind, if I had a minus x somewhere, I'd have to plus it. Both my x's here are positives. But if that was a minus x, I'd have to add it on. But it's a positive x, so I'm going to take it off. That leaves me with just minus 5 on this side. And that's going to leave me with 5x plus 4 on this side. Then I can get rid of the plus 4. I don't want that plus 4 there. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So it leaves me with just 5x on this side and minus 9 on this side. Then I don't want that 5, so I'm going to divide through by 5. Cancels out the 5 and gives me the x on its own. Again, it doesn't go exactly, so I'm just going to call it minus 9 over 5. The last example is a bit like the ones on the extension sheet towards the bottom of the extension sheet. Okay, although I think a lot of us will be very capable of doing this, and a lot of you should be having a go. That first sheet, for most of you, shouldn't be taking you more than about 45 minutes to an hour for most of you, okay? Now this one, I've got another fraction that I don't want. This time I've got 2x plus 1 on the bottom of the fraction, so I'm going to have to multiply through by that whole thing, by all of 2x plus 1. I can't just multiply by 1 bit, it doesn't work like that. I have to multiply through by the whole thing. That cancels the bottom on this one, just give me the x minus 7. On the right hand side, I have to times the whole thing, remember, and I'll give you a bit of a clue here, I put brackets here, minus 4 lots of 2x plus 1. Now I've got those brackets again I don't want, so I'm going to expand those brackets. Being careful to make sure I use a minus. Minus 4 times 2x is minus 8x. Minus 4 times 1 is minus 4. And now it's starting to look a bit more familiar. And like I mentioned a minute ago, here I've got an x here that I could get rid of, but I've got a minus 8x here. Now I could take this x away, but then I'd still have negatives. I've got an opportunity to get rid of my minus 8x. So to get rid of it, I'm going to plus 8x to both sides. That gets rid of my minus 8x and leaves me with just minus 4. Plus the 8x the other side gives me 9x minus 7. Starting to look much more friendly now. Add the 7 on to get rid of the minus 7. Gives me 9x equals 3. And then divide by 9 gives me x equals 3 over 9, or if you like, you simplify your fractions, x equals a third. That's solving equations, so it's just about whatever your main problem is, undoing it, doing what you need to get rid of until you've got that x on its own. All the best.